What is going on, guys? Thanks for checking out this video of my sports Gematria. In this video, I'm going to go over some college basketball games for Sunday, March 19th, 2023. I'm going to show you highlights of each side, and it's going to be up to you to determine who you think will win based on the numbers. I encourage you to add additional information on top of this if needed for you to feel confident in your own pick. And I wish you guys the best luck on all your picks for this day, for this weekend. Let's go ahead and get into the games. We're going to be looking at all 8 games for Sunday for the NCAA March Madness tournament. I'm just going to go briefly through each one of these. Very similar to the video I did yesterday. That video ended up being 25 minutes long. I want to try and get this a little bit shorter, but I doubt I'll be able to. I'll try, though. It's going to be very similar to yesterday's video. But on this side of the screen is what I call my daily numbers, date numerology, Gregorian Hebrew calendar. And on this side of the screen is what I call my game numbers, numbers specific to the game. The way that I have it structured here is I have one team up top, their coach's record, their season record, their tournament record as a team. In the middle is the all-time head-to-head records between the two teams. And then at the bottom is the other team, their season record, their tournament record, and their coach's record. So let's go ahead and just jump right into the first game here. Pittsburgh versus Xavier. So I'm going to start off with the team on the bottom. I'll go over some numbers for the team on the bottom to win, and then I'm going to go over some numbers for the team on top to win. So starting with Xavier, what can allow Xavier to win this game? Well, this is the number 11 seed versus the number 3 seed. 11 and 3. 113 is the 30th prime number. This could be a reason why Xavier can get their 30th tournament win as a team. It will be the 19th of March, written 19/3. 19/3 is the 44th prime number. Xavier can even score 44 or 4-4 head-to-head against Pittsburgh all time with the win. It will be the 78th day of the Gregorian year. 78 mathematically is the 12th triangular number. Pittsburgh can get their 12th loss for the season as Xavier coach becomes 449 and 165 for a record with the win. If we write out 78, which I already have it written out here, it does sum to 165. He can sit on that 165, and then he would get his 449th win as he's sitting on that 165. The 449 is the 87th prime number. 87 and 78 are just reflections of each other. Now, if we were to turn the tables here and look at some numbers for Pittsburgh to win this game, Pittsburgh has a few interesting numbers, and Xavier has some numbers going against them as well. Today will be a day with 29 date numerology on the Gregorian. 29 mathematically is the 10th prime number. Xavier can get their 10th loss for this season as they become 29-29 for a tournament record as a team with a loss. If we go back to the number 78, it being the 78th day of the Gregorian year, 78 also sums to 57, and Xavier coach can get his 57th loss as a coach specifically for Xavier on this day. Pittsburgh, this is their 54th tournament game as a team, and their coach can get his 251st win for his career. 251 mathematically is the 54th prime number, and then Pittsburgh would become 25-11 for a season record with the win. Just looks like a 251. 251. The 54th prime, it being their 54th tournament game as a team. And so that's what I would put for this game for right now. Let's move on to the next one here, Kentucky versus Kansas State. Starting with the team on the bottom, if Kansas State was going to win this game, it could be a 29 thing, 29 date numerology on the Gregorian. Kansas State could become 2-9, like 29 head-to-head against Kentucky all time with the win, as Kansas State gets their 25th win for the season, and 29 and 25 are identical in all 4 base ciphers. They both sum to 149, which is the 35th prime number, and Kansas State can sit on 35 tourney losses with the win to go with. Today is the 78th day of the Gregorian year. 78 is the 12th triangular number. Kentucky can get their 12th loss for the season, and then they would get their 55th tournament loss as a team to go with. 55 is the 10th triangular number. 29 date numerology, the 10th prime number. It could be something like that. If we look towards Kentucky now, one last thing, it will be the 352nd day of the Hebrew religious side of the calendar, and Kentucky coach can get his 253rd loss for his career, 253, 352. They're just anagrams of each other. But if we look towards Kentucky to win this game, well, it could just come back to the 29 again, but in a different way. 29 date numerology on the Gregorian. 29 is the 10th prime number. Kentucky can get their 10th all-time head-to-head win against Kansas State as they give Kansas State their 10th loss for this season. This is the number 6 seed Kentucky versus the number 3 seed Kansas State. Kansas State can get their 36th tournament loss as a team. 36, the 3 seed, and the 6 seed, like 36. Outside of that, I didn't really see anything else. I mean, Kentucky coach has an interesting 833, 388 potential here. He can get his 388th win as a coach for Kansas or for Kentucky as he gets his 833rd win all time. 833, 388. They're sort of similar, but not really, but kind of, but not really. I don't know if it matters or not, but it is kind of interesting. For them picking up their 133rd tournament win, I'm not too sure. Nothing sticks out to me as far as numbers go on the board. And then for them getting their 23rd win for the season, actually 23, if you write it out, sums to 163, the 38th prime number. They can get their 23rd win for the season as their coach gets his 388th win regular season, or excuse me, his 388th win as a coach specifically for Kentucky, which has a 38 look to it. 23 written out sums to 163, the 38th prime. You can get his 388th win, which has one extra 8 for 38. And then you can combine it with the 833 here with similar numbers being used. And that's about what I would put for this particular game. Michigan versus Marquette, Michigan State versus Marquette. Starting with the bottom team here. This is the number 2 seed versus the number 7 seed, kind of like the number 27. And Marquette can get their 24th all-time head-to-head win against Michigan State. 24, if you write it out, sums to 103, the 27th prime number. On top of that, Marquette would get their 11th win in a row for the season. And 11, if you write it out, sums to 27 and 2 of the 4 base ciphers. The number 2 seed versus the number 7 seed. It will be a day with 20 and 29 date numerology on the Gregorian. If you write out 29, it sums to 149, the 35th prime number. And Michigan State could become 71-35 for a tournament record with a loss, 71, the 20th prime number, as they sit on 20 wins for the season with a loss to go with. Michigan State, they can get their 13th loss for the season on a day with 45 date numerology for the Gregorian. If you write out 13, it sums to 45. Marquette would sit on 43 or 35 tourney losses with the win to go with. 29 date numerology, 65 date numerology, both 29 sums to 49, just like 65 sums to 49. Marquette coach can get his 49th win as a coach for Marquette to go with. If we flip sides here, though, and look at Michigan State to win this game, we go back to the 7 and the 2, the 7 seed versus the 2 seed. Michigan State can get their 72nd tourney win as a team. It's their 33rd game for this season. Michigan State, they can get their 33rd all-time head-to-head win against Marquette. It is a day with 29 date numerology on the Gregorian, the 78th day of the Gregorian year. Marquette can sit on 29 wins for the season in their 78 tourney game, as they end their 10-game winning streak with a loss, 29, the 10th prime number. And then the Marquette coach would get his 20th loss as a coach for Marquette to go with on a day with 20 date numerology for the Gregorian. So you have a bit of a back and forth there for each side. Heading over to St. Mary's and UConn, starting with UConn on the bottom. Today will be a day leaving 287 left in the Gregorian year. UConn could become 27-8 for a season record with a win, and St. Mary's become 27-8 for a season record with a loss. 278, 287, they're just anagrams of each other. It will be the 78th day of the Gregorian year, 78, the 12th triangular number. St. Mary's can get their 12th tourney loss as a team to go with. This is the number 5 seed versus the number 4 seed, kind of like 54. And UConn coach can get his 251st win for his career, 251, the 54th prime number. And this will be UConn's 35th game of the season. They can get their 61st tourney win as a team. It's actually both of these teams' 35th game for the season, and UConn can get their 61st tourney win as a team. 35, if you write it out, sums to 61. On the flip side, though, St. Mary's could just simply become 28-7 for a season record with a win on a day leaving 287 left, which is more exact than the 278. It could just be that simple, I suppose. And in regards to it both being these teams' 35th game for the season, 35 sums to 61, yes, but 35 also sums to 56. And UConn coach can get his 56th loss as a coach specifically for UConn. UConn would become 60-33 for a tourney record with a loss. 60-33. If you write out 33, it sums to 60. And then this will be St. Mary's 19th tournament game as a team. They can get their 8th tourney win in their 19th tourney game. 19 mathematically is the 8th prime number, and it will be the 19th of March to go with. And then one last thing here, 45 date numerology on the Gregorian. 45 is the 9th triangular number. 45, 9th triangular number. UConn can get their 9th loss for this season. 26-9 actually is the 57th prime number, but I don't know of a 57 connection right offhand. So that's why I haven't mentioned it. But that's both sides for that game. Let's keep it moving. Creighton versus Baylor.
Sorry to interrupt this video, you guys, but I need a huge favor from you. Can you go ahead and like this video and leave a comment below on who you think's going to win? It's going to help with the YouTube algorithm. It's going to help grow my channel. I really appreciate you guys being here. Let's go ahead and get back into the video.
Creighton versus Baylor, starting with the bottom team here. Baylor. I don't have a whole lot of numbers marked here, but Baylor could sit on 10 losses for the season with a win on a day with 29 date numerology for the Gregorian, 29 the 10th prime number. Now, I've already showed you that the number 29 and the number 25, 29 and 25 are identical in all 4 base ciphers, and Creighton can get their 25th tourney loss as a team as Baylor sits on 10 losses with a win. Creighton would get their 13th loss for this season in their 41st tournament game as a team, 41 the 13th prime number. But 13 also sums to 45 if you write it out, and today does have 45 date numerology on the Gregorian. Baylor coach, he can sit on 243 losses for his career as he gets his 423rd win as a coach specifically for Baylor. 423, 243, they're just anagrams of each other. And he can just kind of sit there with that pattern. Creighton is the number 6 seed. Baylor is the number 3 seed. This is their 6th all-time head-to-head matchup between these two teams. Baylor could become 3-3 head-to-head against Creighton with the win. On the flip side, though, looking at it here, 29 date numerology on the Gregorian. If you write out 29, it sums to 149. Cretan coach, he could become 299, 149 for a record as a coach for Cretan. 299 is just an extended 29, but then he can sit on that 149, knowing that 29 sums to 149. Outside of that, I don't know. I guess you could say Baylor can fall 2-4 head-to-head against Cretan all time with a loss, like 24. Or from Cretan's side, it'll be 4-2, like 42. As Baylor coach becomes 4-4-2 and 2-4-4 for a record all time in his career, sitting on 4-2-2 wins as a coach specifically for Baylor. 4-4-2, 2-4-4 as they become 2-4 or 4-2 head-to-head against Cretan all time with a loss. You can also throw in, with it being Baylor falling 2-4, the coach becoming 4-4-2, 2-2-4 with the loss. Cretan would sit on 24 losses with the win as a tournament record. Cretan can sit on 12 losses for the season instead of getting their 13th loss on a day with 78 date number, or excuse me, on the 78th day of the Gregorian, 78 the 12th, the triangular number. And 17. Sums to 44. Cretan could get their 17th tourney win as a team on the 19th of March, written 19/3. 19/3 or 193 is the 44th prime number. Let's keep it moving here. Fairleigh Dickinson, Florida Atlantic. Let's start with Florida Atlantic. If Florida was going to win this game, this is their third tournament game as a team. They could become 33-3 for a season record with the win. They are currently the 9th seed. Their coach can get his 99th win as they get their 9th win in a row. Florida Atlantic would become 2-1, like 21 for a tournament record with the win, as Dickinson sits on 21 wins for the season with a loss. And that's about all I have for Florida Atlantic. If it was Dickinson that's going to win this game, I don't have much marked for that. 22. Actually, you know what? One thing I didn't even realize, 22. Dickinson could get their 22nd win for the season. 22, if you write it out, sums to 78. It being the 78th day of the Gregorian year. This is Dickinson's 10th tournament game as a team. That could be a reason why they become 1-0, like 10 head-to-head against Florida Atlantic all time with the win. With it being 78 day of the Gregorian, the 12th triangular number, Florida Atlantic could become 1-2, like 12 for a tourney record with a loss. And then 78, if you write it out, 78 sums to 60, and Florida's coach can get his 60th loss for his career. If Dickinson does win, they become 4-6 for a tourney record, like 46. 46 sums to 136, the 16th triangular number, and they are currently the 16th seed. So that could play in their favor as well. Heading over to Miami versus Indiana. Starting with Indiana at the bottom here. If Indiana was going to win this game, their coach, he can get his 45th win for his career on a day with 45 date numerology for the Gregorian. This is their 35th game for the season. They can sit on 35 tournament losses with the win as they get their 69th tournament win on a day with 65 date numerology for the Gregorian 65 and 69 are identical in all 4 base ciphers. Today is the 78th day of the Gregorian, the 12th triangular number. Miami could become 12-12 for a tournament record with a loss. Their coach would get his 149th loss as a coach for Miami to go with. 29 date numerology on the Gregorian, 29 sums to 149. Indiana, they can sit on 11 losses for the season as they even score 1-1 head-to-head against Miami all time. On the flip side, though, Miami, they can get their 27th win for the season in their 24th tournament game as a team. 24, if you write it out, 24 sums to 103, the 27th prime number. It is the 78th day of the Gregorian, the 12th triangular number, and Indiana could be the one that gets their 12th loss for the season. Indiana coach could sit on 44 wins for the season. On the 19th of March, we've written 19/3, and we already know 193 is the 44th prime number. It is the 352nd day of the Hebrew religious side of the calendar, and Miami coach can get his 253rd win as a coach specifically for Miami. 253 and 352, they're just anagrams of each other. And then the last thing here, Miami can get their 13th tournament win as a team on a day with 45 date numerology. 13, if you write it out, sums to 45. And actually, that was the second to the last thing. Here's the last thing. 20 date numerology on the Gregorian. Miami could become 2-0 like 20 head-to-head against Indiana with a win. Last game up here, TCU versus Gonzaga. Starting with the team on the bottom here. As you can see, there's not a whole lot marked, but Gonzaga, if they were to win, TCU would get their 13th loss for the season on a day with 45 date numerology, 13 written out sums to 45. It'll be a day with 20 date numerology on the Gregorian, and if you write out 20 sums to 107. TCU would become 7-10 for a tournament record with a loss. Anagram of 107. They would get their 10th tourney loss as a team on a day with 29 date numerology, the 10th prime number. It's also a day with 65 date numerology on the Gregorian, 65 sums to 139. TCU coach can continue to sit on 139 wins as a coach for TCU with a loss. On the flip side, though, TCU is the current 6th seed. Gonzaga can get their 6th loss for the season as they sit on 29 wins for the season on a day with 29 date numerology for the Gregorian. Gonzaga would sit on 29 wins for the season as they get their 25th tournament loss as a team. And we already know that 25 and 29 are identical in all 4 base ciphers. 29 is the 10th prime number, and Gonzaga can end their 10-game winning streak with a loss. It is the 78th day of the Gregorian year, the 12th triangular number, and TCU can sit on 12 losses for the season with the win. Outside of that, I don't really see anything else as of right now. Uh, 8 and 9. Yeah, that's about what I have, I guess, for this as of right now. I just kind of went through these very quick. I just built these out, went through it very quickly for you guys. Hopefully it helps. Hopefully it gives you insight to these games. Get you started on a decode, adds to a decode that you already have. You know, like I said, I really wish you guys the best of luck on these games. Some of these look like they could be kind of tricky. Definitely can make cases for either side, as I did. So, you know, consider both sides. Yeah, so that's about it. There are a few trends for the March Madness that's going on right now that I noted on my Patreon before recording this video. If you look at the first 2 days on Thursday and Friday, you can see that upsets are happening about 25% of the time. Out of 32 games, it was about, I think, eight upsets total, which is about 25%. So upsets aren't really happening that much, even though the upsets that do happen are pretty big and people get hyped on them. There's only been 8 upsets total out of like 32 games. It's not a whole lot. And so that's an interesting trend. So big upsets have happened, but there hasn't been a lot of upsets in general. And then also, teams that are listed as the home team, meaning the teams that are listed on the bottom, have been winning outright more so than the teams that are listed on top. I think the teams on the bottom are hitting at a 78%, whereas the teams at the top, are less than 25%. So uh, teams that are listed on the bottom operating at a 75% or better win ratio so far, and favorites are operating at a 75% win ratio so far. So those are the two trends that I thought was interesting, just to kind of note, you know, which kind of makes it interesting for, I guess, Kansas State here. Kansas State is the team at the bottom, but they're also an underdog, so this might be an interesting look here, Kansas State, or, it could just be Kentucky, the favorite, as the favorite trend. So it's kind of hard which one to weigh this one. Is it the team on the bottom that's going to win, or is it the favorite that's going to win? Considering that both of those trends are hitting at a 75% or better, it'd be a hard pick to kind of decide. But that's just something I've noticed last couple of days. But hopefully this helps. Hopefully this gives you insight. I'm on 26 minutes, so this video is actually longer than yesterday's video. Forgive me. But I really appreciate you guys watching. I really appreciate the support. Hopefully you win all the money in the world. And I'll see you guys in the next video.